Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the R-Rated Show. I'm your host, Josh James. Happy Halloween 2019. And I wanted to drop a little extra video for you. I wanted to talk about the Halloween franchise. I just rewatched all the movies this October, and they're fresh in my mind. I figured, why not do a ranking video of my personal ranking of the Halloween movies, all of them with the exception of Season of the Witch, because it's not a Myers movie, and that's sort of a standalone thing. So all the movies in the Halloween franchise, save Halloween 3, from the worst to the best. And I just figured it'd be a fun little video to do for you guys on Halloween. So let me grab my notes here and let's get started. Coming in at dead last, and this is not going to be a surprise to anybody at all, we got Resurrection from 2002. Rick Rosenthal returns as director for this movie, and boy, oh boy, did he kill the franchise with this movie. I think this really is an example of studio meddling, and at this point, they got very cheap, very lazy, very formulaic, and they pander. They got Busta Rhymes and Tyra Banks to try to get that young crowd in, and at least they got Jamie Lee back for a small role in the movie at the beginning. But this movie is a cringe fest. It does a lot of terrible things, and it sucks. They retcon the end of H2O, which was a respectable movie. Um, Michael does things Michael wouldn't do. Um, the acting is terrible. The kills are lame. At one point, I shit you not, at one point in the movie, a character throws cooking spices in Michael's eyes and gets away. Okay? I mean, Michael gets kung fu kicked through a window. Um, so Halloween Resurrection is a piece of garbage, and it's dead last for me. It's a franchise killer. Next up, we've got Halloween, the Rob Zombie reboot, and this was 2007. I went to go see this in a theater with a friend, and I was very excited to see a new Halloween movie with a fresh take. And we walked out saying, "What the fuck did we just see?" And yeah, I mean, this movie. The problem with this movie is, Rob Zombie is this very specific kind of director. He's very stylistic. He's trashy, and he loves his references, and he's bouncing all over. I always say he's kind of like a kid playing with a bunch of toys, and he's got no subtlety at all, but he thinks he's very artistic. So um the problem with the movie, if I had to summarize it, is that they go way too long into the backstory of Michael Myers as a kid, and it totally demystifies the boogeyman, and it sucks. And Rob Zombie is take it or leave it from me. I think when he's doing his own characters, he's stronger, and I don't know if he really wanted to do this movie. I think that his studio pressured him into doing it. And the original Halloween is such a classic, John Carpenter classic. I think that he knew that would be really risky to remake this movie, but I think he got pressured into doing it, and he did it his way. And a big chunk of the movie is first part of the movie is learning about Michael as a child and his abusive background, and it just ruins the character of the boogeyman of the shape. So that right there is a fundamental flaw. And then after that, it's essentially a remake of the original Halloween, and it's not awful, but it's already ruined for me at that point. So I just didn't care for it. It's not really Halloween for me. So it's second to last spot. Next up, we've got Halloween 2, Rob Zombie. This movie is a better movie than the reboot, but this is 2009, by the way. He definitely got pressured by the studio to make this. I think he probably had it in his contract. He had to make a sequel, or they just wanted to make more money because the first one did well. So instead of rebooting Halloween 2, the Rick Rosenthal 1981 movie, he just took it in his own direction, and boy, did he really take it in his own direction. And I think that's actually a good thing, honestly. Um, I think this movie isn't really that bad of a movie, honestly. I think it's okay. It's kind of fun at moments and has some. It's really really violent, but it's just not Michael Myers. That's the problem. When we're talking about Michael Myers in The Shape, so we're talking about who Michael Myers is in the Boogeyman and what makes a Halloween movie work. So I think that if this had just been a Rob Zombie character that he created in his own sort of slasher movie, I would kind of respect it more. I would actually kind of like it more. But because it's not Michael, then it just sure shits on what Michael is all about. And so it slips into third place for me. After that, we're going to go into Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, which was 95. We get the introduction of Paul Rudd. This is his first movie. They cut Danielle Harris out of the movie because she wanted too much money to reprise her role. I think that was a mistake, but it's not the 80s anymore. It's the mid 90s. They're not looking to spend a lot of money on this movie, I'm sure. And they didn't bring her back, and which is a shame. I really think that would have helped tie it in to the Thorn. What they call 4, 5, and 6 is what they call the Thorn trilogy. And it would have tied it into those 4 and 5 a little bit better. It's should be noted that this is Donald Pleasance's last movie before he passed away, unfortunately. I'm glad it ended on this one versus, say, Resurrection or something like that. It seemed like, Donald Pleasance was down to do pretty much any Halloween movie that they were going to make, but he passed away. And, he was pretty old in this movie, and I think he did a pretty good job. Um, the guy who played the Shape is a pretty portly guy, so he's kind of like chubby Michael. The mask, but it's not a bad shape. There's some cool kills. Now, we should say, we should talk about that there's the theatrical cut and the producer's cut, the T cut, P cut debates, and that really is centered around the endings. There's some changes throughout the movie with the kills and things, but mainly it's just the ending. I prefer the theatrical ending, even though tonally it's weird. It's a total change from the tone of the rest of the movie, but I think I prefer it better than the weird Loomis Runestones ending. But I say that I'd like to see. There's things I like about theatrical and producer's cut. I'd like to see a fan cut of those things together. Maybe one day I'll make a fan cut of those things, all those things together. I don't think it'd be too hard to do. Maybe I'll do that. But I like Halloween 6. It was on TV a lot when I was growing up. It's very Halloweeny to me. Definitely not the strongest Halloween movie, but I can get down with some Halloween 6. Coming up next would be the most recent entry, Halloween 40 or Halloween 2018, Halloween reboot, whatever you want to call it. Why they didn't give this movie its own subtitle is beyond me, because they're calling it Halloween, which sort of insinuates it's a reboot of the original, but it's not. What it does is it picks up after the first movie. So essentially, it's saying that Michael got captured at the end of the original movie and has been in a mental hospital, a maximum security mental hospital for 40 years. And so he escapes, and then on Halloween night, and he goes after Laurie. And when I first saw this in the theater, I really liked it. I thought it was a Halloween movie. I was like, wow, that was really good. And then with subsequent watches after that, my enjoyment of it has gone down, and that is mainly due to the writing and the characters. Um, but tonally wise, it's a good Halloween movie. The shape is perfect. James Jude Courtney does a great job. They brought Nick Castle back to essentially train him how to be the shape. I think he even did a couple scenes. Um, this is directed by David Gordon Green, and I think it's competently directed. It's just the writing. Some of the writing I have issues with, and that really brought it down a bunch of notches. So they could do some great stuff with Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, the next two entries. I don't think this is awful, but I need to do a review of it to really pick it apart. But there's some really great stuff in there. Like I said, the mask is cool. The shape is perfect. The long shot in the middle when he gets back into the neighborhood is fantastic. There's some really great kills. I like what they did with Laurie Strode, even though it feels a little rushed at points. But natural aging of her and stuff like that is good. Um, convoluted ending. But all in all, it's a good movie. I think it's all right. It's passable. I'm still trying to land on a perfect opinion about this, but um, I guess this would be one, two, three, four, five, six, seventh spot. So somewhere in the middle. Next up, we got H2O. Honestly, so this is like 2000. What is H2O? Let me see. Honestly, this is like late 90s. So it's a very 90s movie. I did not like this movie for a long time, guys. Like Halloween H2O, I always sort of ignored it because it's so tonally different from all the other Halloween movies, and it takes it away from the neighborhood and puts it in this like upscale private school. And Jamie Lee or Laurie Strode, she's a teacher now, and her son's Josh Hartnett, and it just feels weird, and the shape is awful. They really shit the bed with the shape because the mask is different in every other scene, and it was rushed and not well thought out, and but it's a more integral movie. Jamie Lee Curtis wanted to bring it back for the 20th anniversary. She brought she lent her Hollywood weight to it and brought Steve Miner in. Was a competent and is a competent director. Worked on the Friday the 13th series, and the score is better in this one, and the writing's better. They got Janet Leigh to come in and do a cameo. She is the original woman who got killed in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, and Jamie Lee's mom, and it's got some cool things in it. Um, Characters are debatable, but all in all, it's an integral movie. It's pretty good, so it comes up a little higher on my ranking of Halloween movies as I've gotten older. And Jamie Lee does a great job portraying Laurie Strode's traumatized existence. So, um, yeah, that's Halloween H2O. Next up would be Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. This one is sort of 50-50 with horror fans. Um, a lot of people hate this movie. This is the Nick Cage mask. They call it the Nick Cage mask because the mask has got this sort of weird, narrow face and was redesigned. I don't really mind it that much. At least it's got character and it's grimy. But it is a different look from the classic Shatner mask. Uh, the movie itself is a little wonky. This is in 1989, directed by Dominique Audrin Girard, who's just mainly done TV since this. But I guess the problem with this movie at this point in the late 80s, things have become really formulaic, and all the movies were like copying each other. And it's actually, for me, it almost feels kind of more like a Friday the 13th movie. There's a lot of plot flaws and weird things that happen, and they made Jamie a mute. And I mean, Daniel Harris does a great job, and she's like 12 in this, but she's supposed to play like 7. But she, pulls that off. She does a good job. The problem is they wrote her in as a mute, and they really played because she's traumatized from what happened in 4, and they really dragged that out too long. It should have been shorter. Um, and she didn't really have a lot to work with script wise there, but I think it's a fun movie. It sort of personifies the way that slashers right at the end of their heyday in 1989. And I like the Thorn trilogy. I like 4, 5, and 6. So I give it a pass. It sits at number 4 for me because at number 3 is Halloween 4. And this is the return of Michael Myers, rather. This is 1988. So they made this one and Revenge of Michael Myers back to back. Where this is the introduction of Danielle Harris. She does a great job. She's got a lot of charm. She's got a lot of presence on the screen. So um, I like this movie. This is a good movie. Although they really fucked up the shape here. The mask is terrible. It's too clean. It's too vanilla. It's too perfect. Like it again, they redesigned it. It's not the Shatner mask. It's so generic. That's the problem. But even though the shape falls short in this movie, it's still a good movie, I think. It doesn't come close to 1 or 2, but it's still a good movie. They brought back, the reason why it's called The Return of Michael Myers is because in the third one, Season of the Witch, which we, like I said, we're not including in this ranking, flopped hard because they took Michael out of the equation. So they're like, we want to keep the franchise going. They bring Michael back, and this is what we got. So Loomis comes back. We got more Donald Pleasance doing what he does. He does a pretty good job shaking things up and being frantic and, you know, meeting Jamie and all that stuff. So I like it. It's my third spot. Definitely recommend 4, 5, and 6 kind of together. You could like watch those all in one night. So from there, we're gonna go to, of course, Halloween 2, 1981. Rick Rosenthal directed. Um, this movie was made under protest by Carpenter. He didn't want to do it. Him and Deborah Hill kind of got together. I think Carpenter had his arm twisted into doing this. I think he wrote the script, drunkenly wrote the script. You know, that's how we ended up with Laurie Strode being Michael's sister. And I love this movie personally. I love the hospital vibe. You know, it all takes place in a hospital. I love that it's a direct continuation of the night that he came home. You know, like Halloween 1 ends and goes boom right into this movie. So you can watch them together. They're perfect companion piece. It's spooky. I love the tone. The atmosphere is great. You got some sexy nurses. You know, you've got. I just like this movie. It's fun. It's got cool kills. It's just a fun Halloween movie and a great continuation of the first. And it's got "I shot him 6 times," a classic Halloween line. And you know, it's a great movie in the early '80s. It's a great sequel to the first one. So of course, my favorite Halloween movie, which is no surprise, is Halloween, the original from 1978, directed by John Carpenter. John Carpenter was supposed to just make a generic slasher movie about a couple babysitters being killed on Halloween night, and he turned it into this magical thing, which is the Boogeyman. It's got a creepy, awesome Halloween atmosphere. It's simplistic and to the point. I really wouldn't change anything about this movie. You know, it's about a killer who comes back to haunt the neighborhood and to kill. It's the shape at its finest, and it's just a perfect Halloween movie. And if it weren't for Carpenter's vision and his talents and music and everything all coming together in a perfect way, this 1978 movie probably would have just been another forgettable movie. But this one sent ripples through the horror community, and it set a precedent. It's an awesome movie. It'll always be one of my favorite movies. I'll always watch it on Halloween, and I'll probably watch it, you know, on Halloween with the commentary, which has John Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis on it, and that'd be a lot of fun to listen to. So, yeah, that's my ranking of the Halloween movies. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Happy Halloween. Please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subs so I can start live streaming. Would love your help doing that. Let me know in the comments below how you would rank these movies if you agree with me. Cool. If you don't, if you have your own rankings, I'm sure you do. What are they? I'd like to hear them. And thanks for listening. And guys, as always, stay awesome, stay R-rated. Happy Halloween. Cheers. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We've got a lot of great content coming for you this year. We've got reviews for movies, comics, and more. And of course, we will always have fan commentaries for the movies you love. Lots of talk about horror and just mainstream pop culture in general. And probably some Star Wars stuff leading up to Rise of Skywalker. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. And yeah, become a fan of the channel. Let's hear what you want to see. Leave a comment below and just let me know what you think. Alright guys, talk to you later.